Tonight is not about modern horror. This is about something older, something far more unsettling. 10 ancient entities that were never meant to be forgotten. A cherry, the voice, in the mountains. In the high, silent regions of the Himalayas, there is an old warning that has been passed down for generations. Never respond to voices you cannot explain, because sometimes those voices belong to something that should not be there. Travelers once reported hearing what sounded like a child laughing between the mountains at night. Soft, distant, almost innocent. But the moment someone followed it, they often never returned the same. Stories describe a lingering sickness afterward, strange exhaustion, fever that had no clear cause, dreams that felt too real. Locals believed it wasn't just a sound. It was something waiting, using sound as a trap. Camazotz, the darkness that flies. Long before cities existed in Central America, the Maya world held a deep fear of the dark caves beneath the earth. Inside those legends lived Camazotz, not a creature in the normal sense, but something closer to a force of death given shape. A massive bat-like presence associated with silence, sacrifice, and underground darkness. Ancient carvings show beings with wings, stretched wide inside stone chambers where light never reached. What makes this legend unsettling is not just the creature itself, but the environment it belongs to. Complete darkness, no escape, no visibility. Just the feeling that something above you is moving, even if you cannot see it. Utbird, the calling in the snow. In the frozen landscapes of old Scandinavia, survival itself was already a struggle. But there was something worse than the cold. The sound of your name, coming from nowhere. The Utbird was believed to be the spirit of a forgotten or abandoned child, trapped between life and death. And it didn't simply wander. It called, but never in its own voice. It mimicked others, family, friends, familiar tones that felt safe enough to follow. And that was the danger. Because once someone stepped into the snow to answer that call, they were never seen again. Nalusa Falaya, the hunger of emptiness. In ancient Choctaw belief, not all dangers had physical form. Some were emotional. Nalusa Falaya was described as a tall, shadow-like presence moving silently through forests. No clear face, no sound, just absence where something should have been. But its true nature was not physical harm. It was something deeper. It fed on despair. People believed that prolonged exposure to it could drain hope from a person entirely, leaving behind exhaustion that no rest could fix. Over time, victims lost the will to continue. And the terrifying part is how modern that idea feels. As if ancient people gave shape to something internal, something human minds still struggle to understand. Amut, the final judgment. In ancient Egyptian belief, death was only the beginning of another process. Every soul was weighed, and waiting for the outcome was Amut, a creature formed from the most dangerous animals the ancient world knew: crocodile, lion, and hippopotamus. It did not punish. It ended. If a soul was judged unworthy, it was consumed completely. No afterlife. No continuation, no memory left behind. For the Egyptians, that was the ultimate horror. Not suffering forever, but disappearing entirely. Tikolosha, the thing that stays close. In parts of ancient African folklore, fear often came in small forms. The Tikolosha was described as short in height, but unnatural in presence. It was said to be created through dark rituals and used for harm or control. But once it existed, it didn't stay obedient. Stories say it entered homes at night, moving silently, watching without speaking, sometimes attacking, sometimes just standing near sleeping people. So much fear surrounded it that communities adapted their homes to avoid it. Beds were lifted, floors were changed, sleeping arrangements were redesigned. When a creature changes how people live their everyday lives, it becomes more than a story. It becomes belief. Bake Kujira, the whale that should not exist. Japanese coastal legends speak of nights when the ocean behaves differently. Still water, no sound, no movement. And then, something enormous appears beneath the surface. The Bake Kujira is described as a ghost whale drifting through the sea like a memory that refuses to disappear. Where it appears, misfortune is said to follow. Fishermen feared it, not because it attacked them directly, but because its presence felt like a warning from the ocean itself, a sign that something unnatural had crossed into the world of the living. Strziga, the dual-soul nightmare. In ancient Slavic traditions, some individuals were believed to be born with something extra inside them, not one soul, but two. These were called Strziga. During life, they appeared normal, human, ordinary. But after death, the story changed. They were believed to rise again, no longer fully human, and begin hunting the living. When unexplained deaths or livestock disappearances occurred, people often searched for a Strziga explanation first. It wasn't just fear of monsters. It was fear that something human could become something else entirely. Tsitsamime, when the sky turns against you among the Aztecs, the sky was not empty, it was watched. And during rare celestial events like eclipses, fear would spread through entire cities. The Tsitsamime were believed to be skeletal, star-linked beings waiting above the world. When darkness covered the sun, people thought these entities were descending. Not metaphorically, literally. Eclipses were not science. They were invasion signals. And in that moment, even the sky itself felt unsafe. Aklut, the creature of two realms. In Inuit oral traditions, some creatures were not bound to one form. Aklut was believed to move between land and sea, a wolf on frozen ground, and something far larger beneath icy water. Tracks would appear near shorelines and then vanish as if the creature had stepped into another world entirely. For people living in harsh Arctic environments, survival depended on understanding the land. But Aklut represented something beyond understanding. Something that did not obey boundaries. Ending. Ancient people didn't have scientific explanations for what they feared. So they built meaning around it. They gave names to darkness, shaped stories around silence, turned the unknown into living forms. Maybe these creatures were never real in a physical sense. Or maybe they were simply how early humans tried to describe things they couldn't explain yet. Either way, the story stayed, because fear has a way of surviving long after the people who first felt it are gone. And even today, when everything is explained, mapped, and measured, there are still moments when the world feels bigger than what we understand. And in those moments, old stories start to feel a little too close again.